Right, I think we're live. If we are live, I would just say to you guys, drop your questions down below. We are running very late. So if you can see me, then obviously just drop a little comment down below, and obviously I can do that. So we've got I've got a really special guest today, Soros. Obviously, I will get you to introduce yourself, but I've known you for a long time, and I appreciate we've only got about half an hour with you because not only obviously you've got an amazing Amazon business, you run other stuff also which we can jump into, but today I really want to just understand, share a little bit about your Amazon journey, what happened, or what's going on, or that journey, and obviously what you've learned. And then obviously if we get a chance, we'll take any questions as well. So Sarah, first things first, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate the reason why we're late, by the way, is because you're in the middle of some other stuff going on with another company, which is taking over so much time. But if anyone doesn't know you, tell us a little bit about who you are, what you're about. Let me ask that question.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. And man, I'm so excited to be on. I love getting back into the Amazon talk. My store is freaking thriving right now, but it's fully automated, and I'll try to take you back to the days where it wasn't, which 5 to 6 years ago is when I started. And yeah, I think one funny thing that I see out of the Amazon community, on Twitter and stuff, is you should do another business because Amazon doesn't teach you anything you can leave with. You're just on the Amazon platform. I literally learned everything from Amazon. I learned my optimistic mindset. I learned that there's freaking opportunity everywhere. There's just strictly products. Boom, $20 you can sell for 60. That knowledge just carried forward into an opportunity mindset. And building my Amazon company has in my new company, I'll talk about it a little bit. I am totally prepped to work operations in a new company, build a company from the ground up because of my Amazon store. So start with that. That's kind of where I'm at now. I have an automated Amazon store. Most of my focus is actually on another company because my team is so damn good in Amazon. Half of them are actually from Tom's services, which is crazy because, sorry, I knew I would do this, kind of get all over the place, but I think I've probably hired 50 people to land on my 12. And I think half of them are Fast Track, which is pretty damn cool. So yeah, that was not requested from Tom for me to say that. That's just the reality. And the head of the company is my first Fast Track hire, which is wild. That's Lou.
It's been interesting. Obviously, I've worked with you for a long time, and we've shared a lot about what we've done. But I'm not going to say that, hey, I've built half your company. Hell no. We've just given you some good people, and you've run with it and done it. So if anyone doesn't know about your business, can you just where is the business right now? Or tell me about let's talk about people. You mentioned 12. Talk about numbers. I know in the past you've been really open with profitability. You don't have to, but I'd love to know revenue. Are you happy to share more about what does the business look like today? Tell me about that.
Yeah, 100%. The business right now is 12 employees, 1 COO, probably 5 sourcers, 4 to 5 admin, and someone that focuses on repricing. That's basically where we're at. And you wouldn't believe how simple the business is. We're 80-90% online arbitrage. And we do things and we buy from similar sites that we bought from freaking 5 years ago. Whenever I check on my orders, I'm like, this is crazy. This is still working. My boss, she literally does run the company. She hates when I go on social media or anything about bragging about it because she's like, don't let anyone know. And I'm just going to reel one store right off the bat. Sierra.com, that is one I trained on when someone was like, dude, just try Sierra.com for flips. And I still see it in my orders. They still find deals on there. Wow. So she'll kill me if she sees this video. But yeah, so that's the structure of the company, 12 people right now. It started with just me. I got a mentor. He basically told me, and by the way, back then I had zero, I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I read 4 Hour Work Week. I was one step forward, 2 steps back on anything. And I had a baby coming on the way with someone I had just met. We got pregnant 3 months in, and I had to get serious. I was trading and stuff. And my wife actually, or girlfriend at the time, introduced me to a mentor. And he did a video call with me, and I saw his prep situation. He prepped at home. And I was like, okay, this is a real business. This guy, he couldn't be selling me a scam. He literally is prepping stuff behind me. So I was like, in that moment, I'm like, I'm just going to listen to everything this guy has to say. I got nothing to lose. I mean, I got, probably 20 grand to lose. I think that was my number. I was like, I'll risk 20 grand on this. But the upside is I'm going to have a business. And at that time I was like, man, if I could just make 100 grand a year, that would prove concept that I do not have to work at an office. And I literally had that ceiling. I'm like, for some reason, when you start out, you just make these ceilings and you're like, maybe this is 100 grand a year business. Maybe for some reason it doesn't go past that because you don't know. But then you meet people along the way, like Tom and this guy, we call him Flying Ducks, and you start meeting people that have these huge stores. And that's part of the game where you just kind of like get to take their dream and take their situation and just kind of put it in here. Like that's possible for them. It's possible for me. So he taught me retail arbitrage. I would go to Marshall's, Walmart. I'm like, dude, there's no way this $3 spatula is going to turn into a profitable business. There's 2 of them here. And I always thought you had to get, find these huge stocks of products. And that's actually not what we do still. We find 1 product here, 5 products there, 10 products here, 1 product here. And that's actually our major edge. And we still do that. So he said, Tim, he was like, dude, okay, there's a spatula here. There's 2 of them here. How many Marshalls are in your area? I'm like, 20. I was in freaking Miami, the retail arb capital at the time. And then my gears started turning. I'm like, oh, wow, there's so many different ways you can put together an arbitrage model. You can have geographic arbitrage. You can have a couple stores that other people just aren't seeing in retail arb, and you can just keep hammering those. You can freaking send vans around. And I really, at that time, this is actually important when you're starting. You want to do something. You don't have to love it, but you have to hate it less than the next guy. So I hated going to Walmart. I really didn't like going to Marshall's, but I landed in Adidas outlets. And I'm like, you know what? I can hang around the shoe crowd a little bit longer. That's really important because if you're enjoying some of the things you do, you're just going to have longevity. You can show up every day. So I found these Adidas. I'm like, damn, there's some good deals here. And I figured out the coupon system. And now I started getting profitable. I had tried Costco. I tried some other things like hit or miss, getting better. One thing he did is he forced me to learn sourcing on my own. He never recommended a store. He kind of like hinted at Marshall's, but he was like, just get in your car and go to stores and just start searching. He didn't say start in this section, look for this. He's like, just go. And he's like, just pat yourself on the back when you have any win, when you find anything close to profitable, when you find anything even like a good sales rank. And I did it, just kept positive. And over a month or so, I'm like, holy crap, I'm starting to come out with $100 a day in profit when I land. And it got to 200 and 300, whatever store I got to. And next thing you know, I'm in Adidas outlets coming out with $1,000 hauls in a van. I started out with like a Honda CRV. So that was my start. That was like the first 3 months. And I'd say like around month 3 to 4, I was like, I already felt like I was like, this is done in a way where I'm on the way up. Like this is working. I can only get better. So that was the start. If that helps through the start.
Yeah, agreed. I think just the one thing I always kind of like to do is paint a picture of like where you are today, and then obviously that journey. If you've talked about that, and you've talked actually about the team, which is where you are today. I know in the past, like revenue-wise, you shared you did like 10 million by the end of the second year. Is that
yeah?
Right?
We did I think our largest rolling was 11 million, rolling 12 month. We're really like average. We've really the last 3 years averaged about 6 to 8 million per year for the last 3 years. Maybe 4 years, with varying degrees of profitability. Like I'll say for 2024, that was a tough year for everybody. But in business, I've learned like I'm happy about that. A survival year is such a good year because that means so many people left. Like right now, so many people are just getting rid of their last bit of inventory. They tried to get it out for Christmas. They're getting their rest out these next couple months. You're going to feel some downward price pressure. But last year was a freaking gauntlet of a year. There were suspensions, there was gating, there were raised fees, all these things. And dude, the whole time, I know I'm optimistic, but I'm like, this is going to be awesome because it's going to be less competition. So when I was in, I want to say, God, I always get the years mixed up, but it was when COVID happened. That was the blue ocean. Like, oh my gosh, everything makes money. We freaking built our company to 28 employees because the strategy was just buy everything in sight. And what ended up happening is, and 28 mostly online employees, I was kind of doing retail and online arb. Then that's when everybody comes in and you have tons of competitors. So over time, not doing the greatest accounting, probably a 3-4 month lag, I'm like, holy crap, these margins are getting slimmer and slimmer and slimmer. And with returns, I might not even be a profitable company and I have 28 employees. So the lesson there is when you come in at a good time, everybody's looking for the time to get into the right business. You're going to have to pay for that because you're going to have to rebuild and structure your company that can survive in a regular market or a down market. So after that happened, I had to cut down to 12 staff after 28. That was pretty heartbreaking. At the time, I didn't really know the concept of you got to fire fast when you know. You're not doing anyone any favors dragging somebody along that's not like, not for the future. And then basically in 2022, we had to rebuild almost the whole year. We had lots of unprofitable inventory from 2021 being huge. We had to sell it all off. We had to get stricter processes. We had to get bigger ROIs. There's a little trick, guys. The solution to every single Amazon problem in arbitrage is buy better products. Like you do all this math, you figure out all your issues. In the end, if you can buy larger ROIs that sell faster, improve your criteria, you're going to beat the fees. You're going to beat your competitors. You're going to have a much bigger margin for error. So that's always the solution. Now, it's not always easy to get to that solution. You're like, man, I got to retrain my whole staff what it means to get a good product. So yeah, again, rambling, but that kind of took me from retail ARB to building this big online ARB to building it way too big and not profitable, and the market getting difficult in 2022. Having to survive 2022, I think we made 200 grand that year, barely. But then 2023 was just a payment year. We made 650 grand on about the same amount of sales, bottom line, while paying employees like 300 grand, which is way too high. And we learned that too, that 2024, we were resting on our laurels. We had a really easy year. And I was like, Lou, don't let our company get fat and happy. And you know what? Whatever she did, dude, she was going to Taylor Swift concerts, renovating her house. Like, oh, we're not fat and happy. Everything's good. We're doing our best. There's just no leads. Yeah, okay. And once she realized that wasn't the case, I'm like, you're the CEO, essentially, the company. Are you bringing it every day yourself? She was like, you know what? I'm not bringing 100. And the moment she realized that, it trickled down to everybody else. And essentially, we rebuilt again in a way in the beginning of last year, after we were fat and happy, realizing they weren't getting quite the bonuses they're used to getting. And then we got hit with a freaking deactivation for 2 months. And we like, you know what? I got to be honest. I was not nervous at all because I know the risks. I'm lucky. I've made money from Amazon. So I'm like, I know my risks. I know my Bezos risk. The number one risk in Amazon is that deactivation. And the way to avoid it, I think, is do things by the books. Very rarely toe into the gray area. And the people you see on Twitter, everybody that, oh, Amazon did this to me. I still believe 9 out of 10 times you did something in the gray area. You didn't track stuff. You didn't take care of business. And we always do that. I was always taught that. So through that tough 2024, we grinded again. We realized it's going to open up. It's going to be a difficult year. And we crushed quarter 4 and we're like cruising into 2025.
Yeah, it's like, oh my God, there's loads. I never knew you got suspended. Wow.
And I'll say we probably would have ended up with about 350 grand in profit in 2024 during a difficult year. But we got about 200 grand in fraud credits because we decided to dig deep into 2021 and discover that these big sophisticated corporations, they freaking lose inventory. They have fraud being committed inside their organization. There's all these things that can happen if you're not tracking and looking at your credit card statements. And we found them. Shoes.com was one of them. And our credit card, Amex, takes tons of calls sometimes, but they'll take care of you. Say, look, these were fraudulent transactions. Will you look into them for us? Will you get some information from Shoes.com? And we were able to put together, 200 grand of fraud from 2021, 2022, and 2023. So our bottom line was 550 this past year. And I think our employee payments got down to 180. So we're a very healthy company again. January is looking really good. And our goal is to do 500 grand revenue per month. And then really kick it up towards the second half of the year. And one other thing I'll add that's it's a dance in Amazon. Like I said, when they said, oh, there's no leads, that actually can be the case. This next couple months could be tough. Like it could be hard to find really profitable leads, but you can't let it seep into everybody's head that there's never any leads. So you got to have this patience where we are waiting for the right buys. If you wait around and wait for the right coupon and the right site to drop their price, because freaking arbitrage will always work. Every company has the same issue in inventory. They have slow moving inventory that they can't put all their resources into selling at the perfect price. They have to cut price. So you'll get a coupon and you go ham when you get that coupon and you realize we've never gotten Adidas this cheap, buy it all. So that patience to buy that stuff is super important. Patience when it's tougher, but you got to keep checking in and be like, are you guys actually just not seeing what's in front of your face? And there actually is a ton of opportunity again, and it's time to go hard. So.
Yeah, oh my God, that's so crazy there. I remember when you messaged me and you were like, hey, Tom, we found like 140 in refunds. I was like, what the that's crazy.
Yep.
But I think there's so much. I think one is, you're right. You talk about suspensions. I never knew you got suspended, by the way. So obviously glad you got the account back. But this is a business. You've got to run it like a proper business. You can't part-time it. And Amazon's getting stricter and stricter and stricter by the day. They're just not interested in people who don't want to run a good operation. Like you've got to run a good operation. And I hate to say it, like if you want to grow this business, it's very, very, very difficult to grow a good operation consistently on your own, because most human beings just get a bit lazy and like we have so much life stuff getting on. But if you have a team, you can hold them accountable and it works really, really well. So I absolutely love that. And then also as well, like, thank you for sharing like numbers. I think that's amazing. You've had some good years and bad years. And the one thing I've always heard was, you'll have good times and bad times. So what you want to be is in the bad times, you're just refining your craft so that when the good times turn up, you can like 10x it and everyone else can only 1x. And that's when you make a shit ton of cash. And it's like, we're just learning skills. That's it. But it's the skills of like reselling, the skills of managing teams, finding opportunities, all this stuff. Go on.
When you look back, I really feel like we made our money in 2022 and the end of last year when we made the least money on the books. That's when we made the money for the next 6 months to a year. That's just how business works. The water kind of builds up behind the dam. When you're in a tough spot, when profit's not really there, you got to do everything right to stay alive. So then if you're doing everything right when it gets easy, that's when the money just starts pouring in. So in my new business and just the more business owners I meet, there's too many people that just try to scale too fast, try to pour gas on the fire when it's not time. It's always easy to pour gas on the fire when you're doing everything right.
Yeah, agreed. And I think the one thing you mentioned there was like good margins, and I completely agree with you. It's easy to buy bad deals. It's hard to buy good deals. And when you've got good deals coming in, you've got a team who's like, it's tough, but the deals are really good. You're like, that's the way it should be. But then you can pour gas on it and like, bang, we're on fire. Question for you. I know this obviously from other interviews we've done. Obviously, so you've talked about it. You've done 10 million in a single year. You've done like 6 to 8 million since then. You've talked about, some years maybe like break even, other years doing like 500K. How much do you work on your business? Like, this is quite an amusing thing.
It's getting close.
Hours a day.
It's close to zero, Tom. I'm serious. It's like, we do coaching calls, but Lou and my team have been around 6 years. At this point, like, they know the business better than me. They know all the answers I'm going to give. And a lot of time the answer is, what would you do? And they freaking know the answer. So that's how crazy it can be. And that whole saying, like, no one will care about your business the way you do is completely untrue, especially with foreign employees, because you can get them incentivized in a way. And don't get me wrong, just money isn't going to do it. Some people you dangle, look, you're going to get freaking 10% of my company if you crush it, and they just figure it out. Most people, they need a lot of other things. They really need love, respect, fun, because their life is your company. Everybody's life, for the most part, is their work. So you can get people loving what they do and the proper incentive structure where they feel excited and motivated every day. You're going to have people working 3 times harder than your competitor, 3 times happier than your competitor, and they're going to care about your company as much or more than you do, because they have a vested interest in the success. In 2024, again, I'm kind of happy. I'm like, they didn't make all that much. They didn't make what they made in 2023. Sucks for them, but I'm like, they're getting hungry, aren't they? Because they want what they had in 2023.
Yeah, I think it's really important. Like, you've got to it's about like understanding incentives, create a really good incentive structure which drives performance. And then number two is like finding the right people and also finding what the motivations are, and so that they can go forward. You and I appreciate time because you've only got 15 minutes left. Like I was like we're really limited for time. If anyone wants to know,
I want to be on here for 2 hours. I do not want to do my next call.
I know,
yeah.
I know the conversations with you. Question for you, like you've got a team, you've had 55 staff, you're now down to 12. What makes a good member of staff? Let me ask that question. What have you learned on that journey about people and teams?
Okay, so right away when you hire somebody, like it's pretty simple things you got to look out for. It's a crapshoot on who's going to be good right away or who's going to be good in 3 months. But if somebody's improving 1% every day, asking lots of questions, and totally available, everyone should be on your time schedule. I've messed with that. I've tried different time schedules overlapping. They should be available to you. You're the owner. You might only get them for 5 minutes a day, but it's on your schedule when you're ready to talk to them. So you need to be fully available, improving 1% every day, and asking lots of questions. And the one thing you got to look out for is no head scratcher mistakes. So people can make a mistake. That's totally normal. People should be making mistakes. And I'll be honest, with Filipinos, they are so grateful and such good workers, but they don't want to make a mistake. There's definitely a shame thing. You have to teach them, like, dude, make mistakes, break things in my company, like freaking go for it. And you can't have head scratcher mistakes, which means, hey, I need you to find something that's sales rank under 100K. Comes back, it's 120K. Hey, why'd you do that? I said 100K. Then they do again and they bring back 140K. And you're like, no, something is wrong up here. They're not motivated to work for your company. Hiring is very interesting. You have to have the right person with the right intelligence at the right time in their life with the right incentive structure. And you can't figure out all those things. So the best way to do that, you just keep hiring and keep trying to find new people. And that head scratcher, what that tells me is, yeah, their head is not in the game somewhere. They might have a personal problem. They might be working another job. I don't care what it is. I know exactly what that head scratcher mistake means. It means they are not fully with it, fully invested in my company. And I only go full time. I don't really do part timers in the beginning. I don't want people working 70 hours unless it's, when you get a new employee, they should be working more than 40 because they need to be immersing. But you're always trying to get to 40 so people have a healthy lifestyle. But they should be thinking and dreaming about your company when they're going to bed. They should not be stopping and then going to another company.
Agree. Yeah, I think the best people. And let's be super clear. It's not like we just hire them and they're dreaming about your company forever. No, it's like the one thing I really recognize about you is you're very good at leadership. You're very good at inspiring people, but then also as well, matching that with incentives and finding those people who you can motivate. And I agree with you. When you get those people who bring you back the 120,000 sales rank and you don't want that, you're like, what the hell's going on? Like, why? Like, again, like, no, cool, next one, not a problem. But when you start finding these people and they're improving and they're like, and I know what you mean with Filipinos, they're like, sorry, sir, I made a mistake. And we do it where we're like, I go, if you haven't made a mistake tomorrow, that's a problem. You've made a mistake. So like, you force them to make mistakes. But it's so important, those things about really like culture fit, you being a good leader, being available, but also as well, figuring out incentives which are really going to align. And then they see the opportunity. They see that, man, if I do this, I get that, and that helps me on my dream. Right, I'm going to work for Sir and do whatever I can for as long as possible and make this happen. Because then, if your company does well, his business does well as well. Your business, they do well. So I think that's fantastic.
And guys, this might seem daunting to build to 10 of these great employees. You got to go through 50. It takes one. You got to get to one really good person that you freaking dump everything to, and they understand how you think and act and feel and love your company. They'll go get their family members, their friends. Like, I get everyone from referrals now. I don't even want to start a recruiting push like through recruiters and stuff right now because I have such a good pipeline of Filipinos now because they're not going to bring anybody in that they don't vouch for. Yeah. So a vouched employee, a vouched referral is like, it saves you so much time. They're going to be good. You barely have to interview. You're like, dude, if you think they're good, how our company is, bring them in. Let's see how they do.
One of the big questions I think I'd probably ask from your side is a lot of people do hire and they don't really understand what like a good person is. And when you talk about like you've got a good team already, they've got very high standards. So therefore, getting new people is not, you're going to see a good person because they'll just maintain that standard, or they'll show up like, oh my God, like this is just not the right person. It'll stand out a mile away. But when you went from 20 of, I think it was like 25 staff, I think it was, down to 12, you obviously had to let people go. Like, why did you choose those people you let go? What were the signs? What were the decisions behind that? What are the indicators?
Well, yeah, it's just the same type of thing. Like you can know which people are better than others and which people are invested. And when you have 20 people, there's freeloading going on. There's so much inefficiency going on, and sometimes just a matter of like they're in a position where they're not contributing that much for whatever position they're in. And it's not. I don't think I have a good specific answer there. It's literally like it's clear who my best sourcers were. It's clear who my best admin were. The people that are always available. And it's clear the people that we're kind of trying to bring up. And it honestly wasn't a hard decision at that point.
Okay. And so I'm guessing if I kind of like summarize, it's not so much the bad ones, it's the ones who are good, who are constantly talking, asking questions, you're seeing the growth, bringing the results. Mm-hmm. They're the ones who are like, they're the high performers, and everyone else is like, well, what are you doing? So it's like, well, you might be freeloading. It's like, if I don't hear about you, then I probably don't think you're doing that much work. And when I need to cut, I keep the ones who I engage with a lot.
Yep. And you hear Musk talk about it a lot. Like subtraction is so important. Like removing bad eggs from your company, or even people that are just, they're halfway, they're almost good, but they're not improving that much. And don't get me wrong, I've had people that took 2 years to get to their full potential. If you're not subtracting, like subtracting is so important. If you get every person out of your company that doesn't live and breathe the company, then all the top performers, they just have this trust with each other, and it's just this ball of energy that works so well. If there is one freeloader in your company, even though no one can totally place it, it drags on everybody.
Correct. And then also the other one is that when you do incentive schemes, the bonuses, they now get spread across like 25, whereas when the 12, they're like, fucking, we earn twice as much now. Mm-hmm. So it's like, fucking great.
Oh yeah, they got to feel like they freaking got through the fire. They made it on the other side. They're grateful. Yeah, it all happens for a reason, man.
Absolutely love it. So, like, a question for you on this journey: what are some of the key lessons that you've learned? Like, if people want to take away, because you've obviously gone from 0 to 10 million, and then obviously you've consolidated down to a team, and now you're in a 1 hour a week, 0 hours a week. Like, people are like, that's my dream. What are the lessons you've learned?
The first one that comes to mind is just like, because I also had an Amazon community. I've seen 1,000 Amazon sellers come through, and same with employees, same with owners. The people that are just, and now I have sales guys in my new company, the people that are just boringly consistent, they're going to win over time. Someone improving 1% a day that doesn't wow you, that isn't like the most creative person ever, they're going to become an absolute weapon in 2 years. So when I had these Amazon communities, I see the 100 new people coming in. Within 1 week, I know who's going to be successful. It's the person that's sourcing every single day. We had a source, like, share your sourcing channel, and they post like, I sourced today, I got $0. I sourced today for 4 hours, I got $1. And I'm like, that's the person that's going to be successful. They're here every day. And that's the same thing with an employee. So consistency, sales guys too, man. The sales guys that in my new company that freaking wow me, I don't care. The guys that are always putting one foot in front of another, always trying, they end up being the best sales guys. So it's consistent across the board. If you're someone that's trying to half-ass this, trying to hire early, trying and not doing your own sourcing and not being that person that your employees can follow, you're just not going to make it. And I came into this wanting to do nothing. I'm straight up, like, that's why I'm such a good owner, because in the end, I don't want to do anything. However, I know when it's time to do something, and I know when it's time for me to raise my game and be the CEO that people can follow. So that's one lesson: consistency above all. Like I said, Amazon taught me opportunity mindset. There's always going to be a $20 product that can sell for $60. You can freaking take that into any industry. If you put me in insurance, I'm going to be able to look at that industry for long enough. If I put one foot after another, day after day, and say, there's an opportunity here to make money. So there's opportunity everywhere. You got to lift the veil. And the only way that happens is constant consistency, constant immersion in what you're doing. And that's not just, I think a lot of people mistake this for, they source for an hour and then they watch 15 videos about sourcing and then they get themselves all confused. That's not learning. That's not working. That's just consuming information. So if you're one of those people, you got to make yourself a simple plan that's like, look, I'm only at an hour a week right now. I got to get to 2 hours a day. Let's start with that. Try that for a month. And I love that. Try this for a month. I'm going to go balls to the walls for a month, 4 hours a day of sourcing. Let's see where I end up. That's a big leap for me to take. I don't want to freaking risk my time and my life and time with my kids or whatever it is. Let's try this for 1 month, see if I can raise my game, be super consistent, and look back. 9 times out of 10, you're going to be like, holy crap, I actually put something together here, and now I'm on a roll.
Yeah, it takes time to see that output you're looking for, especially in Amazon, where it's like, you do something today and it's about a month, but it's a month check-in right now, so it's like 2 months before you see anything coming up.
Right.
Like, oh my god, you got to be consistent. Cool. So what I will say is we'll jump over to questions in a minute. But if anyone, obviously, if you've got questions, do drop them in. We've got about 5 minutes to ask questions, because I want to say Soros is obviously a super busy man, and I'm grateful because he's like, Tom, I don't know if I can make it. I've got so much going on. It's like, I'll be here for 2 hours having the conversation. But if you guys, I will just say it now, if you guys are looking to build a team and you are looking to hire from Fast Track FBA, as of tomorrow, by the way, is our last day. We are going to be closing for 2 months while we restructure. We're going to change the way we do it, but also we're going to be putting the prices up. So if you're interested in hiring a VA from us, just like Soros did as well, and obviously you want to be part of that, then do check out the Fast Track FBA VA Academy. So let's just jump over to some questions, because I appreciate you got some time. So a couple of people here. Diego said, glad you guys are still making it happen. Glad, Diego. So we've got one coming from Instagram. Do you do A2A flips at all, or is it all like OA? You said that you're pretty much all OA.
We've done some A2A. I'll say we've done everything. We've tried we have some wholesale. The main lesson for me is you got to get good at one thing really good. So like, we had like a streak where we had lots of wholesale and probably a good amount of A2A, but I'm like, we're an OA company. The moment you guys aren't good at OA, I'm basically shutting off all the other things, because you got to have something that like is your company. You can't do everything. So if you're going to do A2A, freaking dive in there and freaking only look for A2A for a while. I mean, if you think you can straddle both, improving OA and A2A, that's fine, but do not spread to OA, A2A, and wholesale at the same time. I'm telling you this after 6 years. We're still an OA company. If we get a wholesale deal, great. A2A is sprinkled in there sometimes, but like right now, we're more focused on finding new categories of OA than finding A2A.
Because a lot of people right now, they really talk about like, oh man, I want to get into wholesale, I want to do this. And I think that's like, would you say that's spreading yourself too thin? Is that like...
Yeah, because it's a completely different game. So I get wholesale from networking. We've tried to have a wholesale, like when I was 28 employees, we had an OA department, an RA department, and a wholesale department. And we sucked at all of them. And I had to pick one. I was like, and you know what? Our RA at the time was more profitable than our OA. But I looked at the improvements happening in our OA, and I was like, these are the guys for the future. So we need to just focus on OA. So yeah, wholesale's a different game, man. There's a lot to wholesale if you want to be a consistent. If you love freaking calling up companies and trying to make a deal with them, and figuring out how you can, change up give them value. Hey, if you sell to me, I'm going to clean up all your pages. There's all kind of value you can give to wholesalers. That's not us. We are not people that call up and make deals. We're people that freaking grind and source. So you got to figure out what's right for you and really go 2, 3, 4 months on that one thing, in my opinion.
Yeah, agreed. I think so many people look at different business.
Hey, guess what? I'm good. Call got moved.
Cool, we can carry on. I think lots of people like go, oh, I want to do OA and RA and wholesale, and then the problem comes is that, like you said, they just do too much of everything and not good at anything, and then they get, it's like shiny object syndrome, and it's like, no, you just narrow down and you focus and you focus and you focus.
Yeah, and that's where you see people, they source for an hour and then they say, you know what, it's not working. I should go try this reverse sourcing. It goes all the way down to that. I'm talking about get good at shoes. Get good at electronics, like all the way to that niche, and get good at one type of sourcing. Our sourcers, we manually source. We go on the page, we scroll the page, and over time, you get a spider sense of how to quickly find a deal rather than look at 1, 2, 3 every single deal. So yeah, one thing, get amazing at it. And we're the best at shoes still. We're still the best at shoes, and we've added electronics and we've added a couple other things. But we always say, are we still good at shoes? Why are we not the best at shoes,
Yeah, and I think everyone's like, oh man, it's getting really hard. And I'm like, do you realize how big this category is? Like, it's like $1 billion, isn't it? And you're like, I just want to do a few million. Like that's it.
Yep.
Like the
Yep.
opportunity's there. Someone said on IG, you are the GOAT. Absolutely love it.
What's up, Sadek?
Yeah, love it. Right.
Sadek's a goat too. I can't wait to see where he's at this year.
Is he in Mexico? Is he? He's same as me.
Yeah, but he's no joke. I wonder what his profit is this year.
I'm sure he's absolutely smashing it. Right, cool. So we got here. So when resellers talk about OA these days, do they mean research online or pick up from store, or do they typically have the items sent to a prep center? I'm guessing prep center for you. Is that just clarify?
Yeah, we search online and send them to a prep center, and we've been through it's really important to have a good prep center, so you got to try different ones, and yeah, you ship right to them. They prep. You keep a constant line of communication. Always be talking to your prep centers. Squeaky wheel gets the grease. If you freaking talk to them, they're going to take good care of you. If you don't, you're going to get bumped to the back of the line. Your stuff's going to get sent 5 days later, and your profits aren't going to be good as your competitor.
Yeah, turning that stock's the most important thing we can do, and having a good. I remember a prep center we shipped in October, and it didn't get shipped to Amazon until February. I was like,
oh my God, dude. In 2021, yeah, we were like 3 months behind. It's crazy. I was so bad. I was so bad during that time of Blue Ocean because we could be for a second.
Do you have multiple prep centers or just one?
We have two. We actually have three. One of them handles our wholesale and this is actually really important, our removals. Mm-hmm. So at scale, Amazon removes and sends back a lot of stuff. We end it, and 50% of that is completely fine product, and you can send it back in. So usually you start doing this yourself because it's kind of a complex activity. Like you have to trust this prep center to take the product and say, this is still good, I'll send it back in, or let's get rid of it, or let's sell it on eBay. I pay about $5 a unit to them to do that. And that added, I think we paid them 10 grand last year. That added like 110 grand to our bottom line. So like the ancillary things now that Amazon is so competitive are very, very important.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love that. I think it's such an important thing. And that's the thing. I think one thing I took away from you was that you were very good at growing the top line revenue. And obviously we talked about the admin VA, and obviously I remember, we worked with that a lot with Rose. But then it was like cleaning up all the back end is so easy to lose money.
Yeah.
So easy.
And how about as simple as making sure you're getting the cash back on Rakuten and Top Cash Back? That between credit card points and Top Cash Back, I think that added 80 grand. So we're talking 190 grand from removals and clicking cash back. That's almost half of our profits for the entire year.
Absolutely amazing. But again, it's all these are the things about running a good operation. Not only do you need it for Amazon, but you need it for yourself, because it's like you've done the bucket, you picked up lots of water, but there's so many holes that you're just losing all the money. Mm-hmm. So it's like you need to clean them up. Sam mentioned price war is becoming a big problem. Amazon's shutting down brands all of a sudden, sending back my inventory. Is that something you're worried about? What are you seeing from your side?
Yeah, I see it happening, but all right, there's a few things. First of all, you got to be all over your account health. So like the moment an IP complaint comes in, the moment anything comes in, you got to reply immediately. So we have admin, we have somebody that is ready to go right away. Our freaking account health is so clean. That's going to help you avoid some of the gatings. Yeah. And again, like everyone's dealing with this. This is another thing of like, I'm dealing with it, my competitors are dealing with it. How can I handle it better than them? Another thing is if you're getting tons of IP complaints on a brand, run away. Like if you're getting gated all over this brand, do your best to get it reinstated, do better than your competitor. But if you're noticing you're just banging your head against the wall, run away. So like there are always opportunities somewhere else, and it does move around. Sometimes your best freaking deal is done. And you laid a lot of resources on there and you kind of started relying on it. You always got it. So like when you teach employees, you teach them how to source, you teach them how to review their sourcing and make sure they know the entire thing. And you teach them how to continuously look for new deals, no matter how good you're doing, because everything's got a shelf life. You could have a deal that makes you 100 grand in 2 months. You could have a deal that makes you 50 grand over 12 months and just keeps paying. Everything has a life. Nothing that we're doing right now is exactly what we were doing a year ago or 3 years ago.
Cool. No, absolutely fine. Just a quick question. Time? What time do we have till?
I'm good, dude. I'm free till like freaking 2 now.
Okay, cool. Fantastic. So yeah, coming back to that question, really, really interesting is Like I learned it from you as well with our VAs. The one thing I really took away from the last interview, which was like a year and a half ago, was getting your VAs to review their deals which have sold, because that review process is like, did the product achieve the target you thought it would? Did it outperform it, or did the deal crash? And what did you learn? And so like we basically, and again, right now I'm really proud. Our account health is like nothing. There is nothing on there. I'm well pleased. But we I think it was last year, at the beginning of last year, we noticed we were in beauty very heavily. We noticed loads of IP complaints in authentics, and we're like, gatings. We're like, I think we need to get out of this. Like, this is just getting a really dangerous place to play. It's getting more and more dangerous. And we transitioned out, and we're like, oh my God, this is really hard. Where are we going to find these products? And it was a challenge. But we did it, and now we're more profitable than we've ever been. We have a smaller team than we've ever had before. And I work less, and my account health is much better, and which is really interesting. But again, you have to adapt. I think it's so important.
Yeah, and one thing I didn't answer on Sam is price war. And I mentioned before, a lot of people are getting out of Amazon because 2024 was so hard. You're going to see some price wars. People are literally just dropping price. Right. So, and like we said before, that's an opportunity to just get better and better, so that when the price wars will ease up. There's no way. If everyone's dumping price forever, everyone's losing money, your competitors are going to leave. If you can sustain it, if you can get better, you're going to be the best when it gets easier.
Correct. And there's always people out there who are actually making money. And by the way, we've never had it so easy. You can just look at someone else's store and see what they're selling. Like, you can't really do that in other industries. Like, it's so interesting. Right, Brian said, what monthly ROI am I likely to expect if I were to start FBA with purely VAs? Don't recommend this, by the way. And if looking to be hands-off. So like, I think you mentioned it. You actually did the hard work to start with. You didn't just hire VAs from day one, but like, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, okay, so you can hire one VA if you're going to freaking grind and learn it yourself with that VA. Like, he's like your freaking brother, and you teach him everything you're doing. You're not going to be profitable in Amazon by just hiring VAs and being hands off anymore. That game is completely gone. Though what I will say in my new company, I don't know how you're going to do this in Amazon, and this might feel a little nasty for some of you new business owners, but like, I've made such a good place to work in my new company that I can poach sales guys all over the country. I can go directly to my competitors and give them a better offer. So if you can find a good Amazon store, I'm sorry to anyone here that's paying their employees dirt. If you can go somehow weasel your way in there and get a hold of a good sourcer, but all the good sourcers are at the good companies. It's hard to find a good sourcer just directly out of the gate. So we hire, and I've never done this in Amazon. We hire everybody just for intelligence and train them from the ground up. They're not working for anybody else. They have no sourcing skill, and we teach them how to source. So to your question, it is not going to happen that way. I don't know how. I'm just telling you, don't waste your time if that's what you're looking to do. Your ROI is going to be zero.
Let me ask you a question. Obviously, you can go on any Facebook group, Discord right now, or like onlinejobs.ph, and you can find an experienced VA. What are your thoughts on them?
Like that knows how to source on Amazon?
Like, they've like, I've got 4 years experience. Like, why are you not picking them up? Why are you like, I think the question, like you said, I'm taking people who are intelligent and sourcing them, training them up. Why are you not just finding all the experienced people?
I think there's a couple of reasons. I mean, one, you can just mold them into exactly, like, they're completely fresh. It's like training a kid. It's so easy to train a kid. They're going to listen to everything and eat up everything you say and you do. They're going to mesh into your company. And yeah, there's so many other just little things. If they have 4 years experience, they have a lot of Amazon contacts. They could be doing things on the side. There's all kinds of just complications with that. And the only way you can do it is if you are certain this person is like incredible and is working on another company, in my opinion, and make them an offer they cannot refuse, and they're clear that like you're going to be tracking them if anything. Like, they cannot do anything else but live and breathe your company.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Like, the way I think about it is, if you've got 4 years experience, generally it's like, because basically at a fundamental level, a sourcing VA is a money-making machine. They basically find you opportunities to invest in, you put the money in, and then they go and they sell and make money. So like, why would you ever, you'd never let your best VAs go. So anyone who's available, like, VAs do come available. I don't deny it, because sometimes you get like things.
Yeah, bad owners.
Yeah, but most of the time it's like their 4 years of bad experience Or if they do come available, like, we've done it where I've given you, like, I think Rose, my previous admin VA, like, they come through recommendations, don't they? It's because we're not looking to, we didn't need 2 admin VAs at the time. And I was like, she wanted to take a break. She came back and I was like, Soros, you check her out. And you're like, she's done great. And I know she's so happy with you. She's like, super happy.
That's true. That's the only time I get them from other companies is if Tom was downsizing. He's like, dude, we have too many good people. He's like, we don't need all these admins right now. And she's been incredible, amazing accountant, everything. And that's how, like, some of these Amazon stores that are going down right now because the owners couldn't make it happen. There might be some good sourcers out there. So that is actually, it's entirely possible, but make sure you freaking cast a wide net and really, really dig into who they are and where they came from. Like a referral, you can't beat a referral because they're vouching and they're saying this person is good.
It's your reputation, isn't it? Right, we've got someone here saying, I've been sourcing for 90 minutes every day for the last 18 months straight, per your suggestion, and building a team, aiming for 4 to 5 million in revenue across. Wow, 90 minutes a day and you're getting that. Wow, that's amazing.
Because he's actually sourcing. He's and he's probably hitting 4 hours some days, and he's always hitting 90 minutes no matter how fucking shitty it is. Excuse my language. But he's consistently hitting it. And dude, 4 to 5 million. And I know Sadek, I don't think he uses a huge team. So like, this is just more to like, you can get so much out of a person or so much out of yourself if you're actually just doing it and not looking for shortcuts.
Agreed. You've got to do the hard work. But again, I think you said it earlier, what was the key things? Consistency. You've just got to show up every day and do it. And like, some days are going to be rubbish. Other days, you're going to fall into a supplier, which is like, wow, look at all this opportunity. Like, bang, 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 bang. And that's where you'll do 4 hours and just clean up. But you are available there every day checking for those opportunities. So, hey, well done. Massive respect. Mark on Facebook said, what bonus or incentive structure have you implemented for your business?
I'll go over a couple. I mean, what I like to do is I have like so many different ones, but one of them that I do is profit share. Like the employees will make, I think it's 0.4, which is, very high for the industry. I like to pay a lot more because I think no one will ever leave me and nobody ever has. That I want to keep. So I do like a percentage. So let's say if I made $1 million, my employees will make 400,000. That's just like on the books, and they know that. At least my COO knows there's this pool that if she hits 500,000 profit, her employees are going to make 200,000. That's tough to recommend because if you just install that right away, that's not just going to get you your results. I'll tell you some of the incentives that actually work. I will say the biggest incentives that work are actually very small. Like if you keep people guessing and having fun and freaking giving them a gift, giving them a trip to Boracay, it costs like $300, buying them a TV, buying them this, this is the biggest one, believe it or not, time off. Holy crap. You say, look, you hit your goals, you bring me a ton of leads, I'll give you off on Thursday. You can freaking have Thursday to Sunday. And this is the craziest thing about this is what ends up happening. Saturday, they're coming in thinking about work. Sunday, they're preparing what they're going to do on Monday, and they might even start sourcing a little. Monday to Wednesday, they are going absolutely ham. They're working 40 hours a week in like 3-4 days, and then they're so happy that they get off on Thursday. That one has been literally the biggest incentive, and it's not even, I don't even have to pay for it. So definitely use that one. And you have to get creative with these incentives when you're not that profitable. We figured this out in 2022 when we're like, we can't give you a profit share. We're not making any profit. So we started giving little prizes, pizza, food for your family, stuff like that. I would recommend that over like a track, honestly. But then the top performers, they want a track. They want to say like, if I bring this to you, I want to get paid this. They like that. But that's 1 out of 10. Everybody else I think actually does better with like some randomness and some fun.
It's interesting. You remind me of the what was it in Las Vegas, the slot machines?
Yep.
It's kind of like the randomness of the payout is like why people keep playing, because it's kind of like, oh, will I get it? Will I get like that?
Yeah, and set weekly. Just be like, look, this week we're gonna have an insane bonus. Like this week it's gonna be $1,000 to the person to sort. Like just throw it out there, and you're not gonna use that again. They're not gonna expect it, and you can get a lot with a little gifts, randomness, stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely love it. Really, really good. And obviously, can I ask a question? What's the most you've ever paid a VA for a bonus in a year? I know.
I would have to look, but let me just do a calculation. Like I think, I think my top VA has made, I think in 2023, like equivalent of 30 an hour by the end of the year, like everything together. So I don't know what that comes out to, but it's like a freaking American salary.
Yeah, I remember.
And I'd say half of that was bonus. So she was up to 15 an hour because she's the head of the company, and then half of that she just crushed the year, so she got paid. And then most of my people, they come in at 4. If they're sourcers, they can very quickly make more than that based on their performance. We try to I wouldn't raise bases, like keep bases low, keep bonuses high, because what happens is when you're like crushing it one year, you want to raise everybody's bases and help them out. But then you have a tough year and you're like, oh God, these bases don't line up with like what we can bring in this year.
Correct. I'm a big believer in that as well. I'm like, I've seen it in too many other people's businesses. They've raised the base really high. And then what happens is if you haven't got a top performer who's motivated by money, they're like, well, I'm earning enough now. I don't need to worry about working hard. You're like, no, I want you to like level up your game and go more. So like the incentive to make more, and obviously like you will pay so much more if you're making so much more because you feel rich. So like, cool, let's do that. So again, finding those people who are not only going to work hard, do the 1% improvement, but also as well incentivized by the ways that you run your structure. So important. Diego mentioned, do you do as much FBM or are you strictly FBA? And I'm planning not to do FBM anymore because of the complexity and it adds in the communication between my admin and the prep center.
You answered your question, and that's kind of what I said before. You focus on one thing you're good at. If you're really good at FBM and you want to figure out that whole warehouse situation, do a lot of FBM. We don't do any FBM.
Why not? Is it just too much admin?
Just complexity. It's just one little layer of complexity. And yeah, it's something that we might look into and be like, oh, this isn't as complex as we thought. We could probably do it, but we don't do it.
Yeah, and again, I think coming back to your point where you talk about RA, OA, wholesale, it's just all these little things just add another layer of complexity. And you're like, wow, this is just so much more work. And your whole point is you just want to get really good at one thing, because if you're the best at that, you get the disproportionate returns. So you just have best sources, best everything. Yeah, I love it. Over on IG, Astrological Lemon said, how do you find a VA? What's your, tell me about that process. I think we touched on it earlier.
We touched a lot. The number one best way once you're doing well is referrals. You ask somebody in your company. Obviously, if you're asking this, you probably don't have that opportunity. You can go to a recruiter like Tom, who, he's kind of taking out probably 20 to 50 to 100 hours of the search process because he's already out there looking for VAs. He already has referrals. He already has an interview process, so he's kind of shortcutting that for you. I will say it's also beneficial to try this on your own. You go to Upwork or onlinejobs.ph and you start your own recruiting process. You talk up your company, you write up a paragraph, how awesome your company is, you get people attracted to the ad. You talk about how much they could make if they do really well with you, where your company's going. You put on some screening questions, like they can be anything because you're just trying to get somebody to give you answers before you have to talk to them. And the 4 I use is and you can just on Upwork, you can put in screening questions. So anybody that applies has to put them in. And it's like, why are you interested in this position? What are you good at professionally? What are you bad at? What are you not so good at professionally? It's kind of a trick question. And what are your career goals? And you'll go on Upwork, you'll put up this ad, you put up the screening questions, and you'll yourself click on probably 50 people. And you have to cast a net to about, I'd say 20 minimum, but you really got to go 50, so that you have all these eyes on your posts. They answer the screening questions. You'll probably get 5 good answers where they actually put intent and time into their answers. You take calls with them, and that's the beginning of a recruiting process. So I would recommend that. But yeah, right now, man, both companies, referrals, man. I just freaking ask people that might have somebody and that will vouch for them.
Yeah, and I think it's easier said than done, but once you built a good team, that's it. And then the team already know the standard by which you operate, and so therefore they're not going to recommend someone who's going to show up and be like, oh, they're awful. They're going to go, this person knows it. And when that person joins or implies, that person in your company is going to tell them, this is what you've got to do. This is the opportunity, but here's what you're going to have to achieve. And they'll be like, okay. And again, just setting that standard from day one, so important.
Yeah, and before I used referrals, I did a mix of the Upwork and Tom. I basically just half my employees came from Tom, half of them came from Upwork. And I would say it was pretty much a crapshoot on who did well. And right now it's it's weighted to Tom. So it's interesting how it played out.
It's it's interesting. I think, there's no right or wrong. And again, what like you said, you've gone through 50 VAs to get down to 12, 55. It's like I've had it. You've had good VAs, and then sometimes they drop off, and like it's just part of the business cycle that we have.
And guys, remember what I said before about once they come into your company, are they improving 1% every day? Are they on your schedule? Are they asking questions? Are they not making head scratcher mistakes? Because when I started, I sunk months and months into bad employees. And if I just thought about that, they'd be out. You're not doing anyone any favors trying to make someone work that just doesn't have their head in the game. So hire slow, take your time finding the person, fire very fast.
Yeah, agreed. I think that head scratcher thing where it's like, I've asked you to do, I do it now, is like, I say, if it's not written down, it was never said. And so when you get the head scratcher, like, don't send me anything under 100, over 100,000, I'll literally be like, right, jump on the screen share, go to the chat. What does it say there? Nothing under 100,000. Cool. What rank did you just send me? Cool. Why? And it's like, if I can't hear a very good answer, like, so I'm so sorry. Like, no, cool, no problems. Bye.
And like the only time that the head scratch is okay, I ask him personally, I'm like, what's going on? Tell me what's going on in your life. It can be personal, whatever. And occasionally they will have a personal problem that can be resolved. But then they should improve like right away.
Yeah, agreed. I think and also when you get the head scratchers, like they're not in it. And it's like, I say it to a lot of my team. I say, if you keep people in your company who do not want to be here, as evidenced by their actions, then you're a bad leader. Like, you're doing them a disservice because they're wasting their life and you're letting them waste their life. Be a good person. Tell them to go find a job that they want, that they're going to be excited about every day.
And you're taking food off the table of your other employees. Like you're literally making it worse for your other employees by having a bad person on the team. So it's way bigger than you think to keep somebody around that isn't like up to snuff.
Question on IG, really tool stack. So do you use sourcing tools, and would you be open to sharing what is helpful in your company, like tools, tech stack? What do you use? Software? Tech
stack, we're extremely basic. We use RevSeller and Keepa. I believe that's all.
Fantastic. Do you obviously use a reverser?
I think they reverse search. They look at certain stores to get ideas. I don't think we typically just like buy that product. If we find it, I think we just like look for ideas that way.
Okay, cool, fantastic. What's a good sales per month for sourcing?
I mean, that's just totally relative, man. If you're just starting, it could be freaking 10 grand a month. If like that's like 10's probably the hardest, 100's the next hardest, a million's the easiest. It's like it starts so hard, and like we talked about earlier, it's easy to pour gas in the fire once you're like freaking putting pieces together. So I wouldn't be so focused on that. Now, once you have an established company, it's like, what do we do? I mean,
I think this guy's talking more about a specific listing, like, 50 sales a month, 100 sales per month. Like, what would be a good sales per month when you're looking for sourcing?
Okay, a specific listing, like a number of products?
No, so like, say for example, you're selling a PS5, like, or you're looking at a listing, an ASIN.
Oh,
like,
gotcha.
Do you go, I don't buy anything below 50 sales per month, like, or do you buy ones that sell only 1 or 2 times a month? Which I'm guessing.
So as you get better, you start to realize it's crazy when you can get listings that have no sales rank. It's definitely like if you can ever find a listing with no sales rank and no data, and it sells somehow, or if you want to take a shot, you might be on that listing without anybody for a long time. So be aware that is possible. Generally, we follow it's kind of like under 100,000 sales rank really works well. I don't really know what that translates to. We don't try to go too much higher than that. But like, I mean, you just do the math. If there's freaking 4 sales a month and there's one competitor on there, you could probably make money on it.
Fantastic. Yeah, I think if you can, again, it comes back to if you can understand how to read the data and you see an opportunity other people are missing, bang, you're making money. And that's the whole point. Learn. Freddie said, hi, Tim. Fizzy here. Been a minute.
Yo! Face. What's up, bro? Yeah, Fizzy was in my our accelerator program. It's funny. I was a Amazon coach for years, and like I'm good at it, but my heart is in building the actual business. Yeah. One thing, like with coaching, it's funny. It's like you're telling people like what they should do, suggesting. With employees, I can force them to do the right thing for themselves, and I love that about a business. So I always, when I started Amazon, I was like, wow, this is amazing. I don't have to talk to like clients. I don't have to do this. I can do it whenever I want, wherever I want, with who I want. And I love that about the Amazon business. I don't have to build a website. I don't have to talk to customers. I don't have to do customer service. And I fell in love with that. And then when COVID happened, there was like a lull. and we started a group, and I became a pretty good Amazon coach. And over time, I realized like so many people telling me I'm good at this, it actually wasn't where my heart was. And I really enjoyed coaching Fizzy and that cohort. But after that, I realized, my heart is like building the businesses.
Correct.
Good to
And
see you,
you'll
Fizzy.
that. Yeah, hey, thank you. Thanks for checking in. Mark over on Facebook said, do you have issues with aging inventory? Is that a problem with you because you're doing volume?
Good question. I mean, aging is super important. We look at a couple metrics, and aging is like one of the most important things. So you want to have, let's see if I can remember this right. I think we have 99% under 180 days. You want to have 90%. You want to be going for 90% under 90 days.
Yeah.
After 90 days, you want to be aggressively getting that out. And we have repricers that are looking at stuff even earlier. We want to look at stuff like when it comes in and we're like, oh, we messed this up. Can we just drop price and get that cash back? So I actually didn't look at aging for like the first 2 years of my Amazon store. And I just accumulated so much junk, and my profitability was not true because the entire next year I had to sell a bunch of unprofitable stuff. So yeah, I have issue. I think we're at 88%, not where we want to be right now. And you look at the buckets too, 30, 60, 90. You want 50, 60% in 30 day. So yeah, we're always looking at that.
Yeah, I think I'll just share this with people because I really agree with you. Like, we didn't really look at aging for a long period of time, and then we got shafted on it. We're like, damn, man, there's so much stock here. So the one key metric we track right now is called sell-through rate. It's under one of the 4 numbers under IPI score, and you want it over 2. If you get it over 2, that means you're selling 2 times in 90-day average, which is really good. So it makes such a big difference. But we're running at 3, and we have like I think 1% of our stock is over 90 days old. Like, we're
That's
just like, clear
insane.
it, get it fucking out, don't care.
I'm gonna pull mine up. I think we're at like 1.8. Like we've been a little slower, but the other metrics say we're doing fine, so I'm fine with it. But holy
again,
crap.
it's like, it's what good for you. And 1.8 is interesting because that means you sell your inventory 1.8 times in 90 days, which basically means you're doing like, I can't do the math on the top of my head. I'm going to get my calculator out. 90 divided by 1.8 is 50. So on average, you sell your products in 50 days. So if you
that sounds about right. Yeah.
Everyone's like, I buy a month's worth of stock. I'm like, well, actually, you're buying 50 days worth of stock as measured by that. So really, really including. So fantastic. Right, last few questions, and then we'll wrap it up. So Baker Treat said, will the VA, so here's a question. Will the VA you train, will they be trained to a really good standard? Will they know how to source the different sourcing strategies? I think I'll tweak this question slightly, because these are really, we get asked it all the time. I think it's more for me. But the question like I get asked about VAs is like, do they know all the different sourcing strategies? And I kind of said, like, really, it's like you really do 1 or 2 strategies very well, then you just apply the other ones to those products. Like, you know the suppliers, you know the category and the brands you're going after, and then you're always going to be checking for voucher codes, newsletter, but like, you don't really source that way. You always just kind of know where you're going for. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, that makes sense. And it's like I said before, you want people niching down. You train them to do one thing really good, and you figure out what they're good at. So like I have like certain people are really good at finding new deals, and they like that creative mentality of like going out there, and that's pretty rare. And that person might not bring as much just straight sourcing, and then other people like they can't do that at all. You give them where to go, and they just grind all day. So I would focus on one thing generally, but ask them and figure out what they're good at, and then put them on that. So Michael, he just like got us into tools because he just is always looking for new categories, and he's just really unique there, where the other guys might have higher totals.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Yeah, I think, and again, like you find different VAs with different skill sets, and what we kind of do is like once they find one good skill set, we're like, hey, once you find deals in that, just remember to do these 3 checklist things, like check for cashback, check for voucher codes, maybe do something else, and then you're like, and now all of a sudden they're like, wow, this method works really well, and now these 3 checks are making me find even more deals. You're like, fantastic, absolutely love it. We've got here, sell-through rate, 3 sell-through rate is insane. I know Sweeney's are super high. Yeah, I know, he's obviously like smashing as well.
I was just on Twitter, I don't know if he responded, but he said his is like 2 right now, and it doesn't make sense because he was doing something like 400,000 in sales on like 100 grand in active inventory. I don't know how the hell he was doing that.
No, it's crazy. It's crazy.
We're at 1.9 right now. I just checked.
Right. It's a really interesting metric that we look at, and we're just like, hey, can we make this better? Because the faster you can turn your inventory, the more effective you are with your money.
Yeah.
It's so important.
And
if,
you're
you know,
and you're like so understanding of what you actually have in profit. If your aging is 90% and your turn is fast, you know how much profit you have. If you're selling things 4 to 6 months, you don't know what you got. Like if you got all this old stuff, you don't know like what it's going to sell for.
And I think the one lesson I've kind of learned on Amazon is the longer you have stock, the more risk you have. Like the more chance the market changes or you get gated or anything. And it's like, man, I just want to get my stock in and get it out. That's it. And I love your point about when you're a repricer guy, is like, we'll check it the moment it comes in. If we made a bad buy, clear it. Don't care. Get it out, rid of it. Like 100%.
Yep.
I don't care if I'm losing money. Get rid of it. Don't care. Let's get it into
Yep.
something that's going to make you money. So appreciate all the questions. Any final advice, thoughts? Obviously, anyone looking to scale with a team, anything you can advise them? Kind of recap for yourself.
Just a little recap of just like find out if you're struggling with consistency or struggling with like just really getting into this, find what you kind of like. You don't have to love it. I was not in love with flipping products. I felt pretty awkward going to stores and freaking scanning stuff, but I found somewhere where I could just think like, holy crap, if this works, this is going to be life-changing for me. I freaking Tony Robbins it. I had to beat down a lot of limiting beliefs. I had to freaking say, look, I am built for this. I'm smart enough. I'll figure this out. Every day, the freaking affirmations work. Find somewhere you can stick with it. And if you can build that consistency, like Sadek said, 90 minutes a day for freaking 18 months, you're going to be successful. And 9 out of 10 people are not going to be successful. And I guarantee you it's because of their consistency. So that's what I'll leave you with. It's something I got to work on every day too. Like sometimes, well, I have been in business for a while, so I'm kind of a machine now. And when you become a father, you got to be some level of a machine. But it is something I gotta, for me, when anything is going wrong, when I'm not consistent enough, when things are starting to get too stressful, I just go back to freaking get in early, man. Wake up at 5, get to the drawing board, have a coffee, start writing stuff down, make a plan and get after it. And just do that every single day. And you will be successful. And if for some reason you're not successful in Amazon, you don't have the capital, you can't get the credit, whatever, that consistent mindset in any business, the sky will open. You will be successful. And it seems so simple and people are probably scratching their head about it, but it's like, I've just seen so many people do this, so many different types of people, so many different ways to make money, people that show up every single day and work, not just educating yourself on videos, get to work.
You're a really big, kind of final question for you. You're really big about vision setting. You talked about writing down every day. Can you tell us a little bit about like why and how do you do that? So people want to copy it.
Yeah, it's weird. Like I feel like 6-7 months in, like it's so natural to just be constantly visualizing like where we're going. But yeah, you got to paint just a beautiful picture in your mind of where this is going. You're setting a target. When you set a goal, when you set a beautiful vision, you don't have to sit there for an hour. You friggin' sit there. And honestly, if I take myself into visualization when things feel tough, it's scary to build a vision because it might not work. What if it doesn't work? So it's almost hard sometimes to be like, I'm gonna do $2 million in sales this year. I have no idea how to do it. By the way, when you make your vision, don't worry about how to get there. Just if you can kind of feel and see where you want to go, you're setting a target. You're telling yourself, I'm moving in that direction. That's where I'm going. If you don't have a vision, if you don't visualize, if you don't think about that, you're kind of just going left and right. It's like leaving your house and not having a destination in the car. You're just, where do you go? Where are you going to drive? And every single day, you're spending all this energy thinking about what direction am I even going in? So if you build a vision, connect it to your heart, make it something you really love. Think about all the things, the money, it's not money, man. You're going to become a much better person. You're going to be better to your wife. You're going to have better friends, a circle of friends around you. You're going to have so much fun. If you can really connect to why you're trying to do this, then it's pretty easy to get into a store and be like, man, I got to flip products for 3 months. I think I can do this. This is, if we're heading for this vision, I can do this.
And what does that look like for you, like operationally on a day-to-day? So you said, like, are you like going to a coffee shop? Are you sitting down, pen and paper, writing? Like, just talk through that.
I'd say I go 50-50 between, I wake up early. I always wake up early, get to the coffee shop, have some breakfast or a coffee, and 50-50 between just going straight into like, just close my eyes and visualize for 5, 10, 15, sometimes an hour. Or I just hit the hardest thing. If I have a lot of tasks, I hit the hardest thing the thing that's been bugging me the most first. So yeah, so I like to sit there and just like sit there, essentially pray and say like, what's one thing I got to do today? If you can get one important thing done every single day, you're a success, and it will compound. So yeah, it's either that visualization, what do I have to do, and then plan, or it's like, I know what I have to do. I start it right away, because it's very, if you knock out the hard thing before freaking anybody's even awake, that really just like, it's just icing on the cake, everything you do the rest of the day.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I will ask the question, but I don't think you're going to say. So I appreciate you probably don't want people contacting you because you're like I could barely get hold of you, and obviously we've been friends for a long time. By the way, if anyone wants to know, your executive assistant replied to me and said, "Yeah, you'll do it." Sorry, he's on holiday. I loved that. Well done. But if anyone wants to follow you, is there any way that they can follow you?
I don't post a lot. Twitter, I post about crypto very occasionally. That's like a hobby that I don't like to do, because it's best to just buy some. If you're in crypto, this market, I've been in 7 years. This is a very, very difficult market. Just buy some Bitcoin and some of the top ones, and just freaking forget about it. I will say, no, you can contact me as much as you want. I actually don't get that many DMs. Happy to help you on anything you're dealing with. So Soros Empire on Instagram or Soros Empire on Twitter. If you just send me a DM, I'll eventually get around to it. I'm not that public, so you actually can reach out to me. More so than see me post. I don't post that much. I like to kind of that's another thing I learned about, kind of like, you really got to ask your heart, is this really what I like doing? Sometimes when you're in like a really thick challenge in business, like, you got to talk to your heart and say, am I just avoiding this challenge and I got to push through? Or am I just not in the right place? Am I doing shit I really fucking hate every bit of it? And that was another thing with the coaching. I finally realized I didn't like content making. Like, I love like getting on people's podcasts and just talking. I don't like the whole process of posting and talking to hundreds of people I don't know. I don't like it. So when I was doing that over time, I realized I was like, this is a different feeling in my heart. I actually don't like it as much as I thought. So this sounds like woo-woo stuff, but it's so important, because what happens when you start a business, you get this great vision. You know how much money you're going to make. You're like, this is worth it for the money. 1 month, 2 months, 3 months go by. You have a little success. Hit month 4, you're not making any money. And you're like, I'm doing a bunch of stuff I don't like. That you're always going to hit that part where you're not making as much as you thought. And then if you look around you and you're like, I actually kind of like some of the stuff I'm doing, and I can keep doing this, that's when you're going to get to the next level. And that's when the skies are going to part. If you look around yourself and you're like, I don't like this stuff, you're not going to make it to that final goal. So Tim Ferriss says a really good way to figure out if you're in the right project is, if you're deciding if you want to do Amazon or something else, lay out your 5 projects you want to do and picture if you did any of them and all of them failed after a year. You got $0. Which one would you have liked to have done? Because that tells you that you would basically have done it anyway. And that's what's going to get you over that hump.
Correct. And I think it's interesting, coming back to your hiring part, which is about hire slowly, fire fast. And like, when your business is changing, you've got to cut. It's the same thing in like what we do with activities, whether it be in one business or in multiple businesses. It's like, what are we good at? What do we enjoy doing? Do that. Everything else, get rid of. Like trim. And I think you mentioned Elon Musk. He talks very big about cut. Such an important distinction. And a lot of people just try and do too much of everything. It doesn't work. Just focus on what you're naturally good at, and you'll just beat everyone else, because it's play to you, but it's work to everyone else, and you'll do it forever. Soros, I just want to say thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure and an honor to speak to you again. Obviously, it was great meeting you last year in person. I've met you many times, but obviously, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you're a super busy man, and I'm sure for everyone who's watching this, thank you. Honestly, it's been a real pleasure.
Dude, thanks for having me on anytime. Good to see you, man. Let's talk soon.
Right. Take care. Bye-bye.
See ya.